Today we're going to focus on some new dimension um, elements. And the reason is, up to this point, we have been dealing with just units. We've been punching in numbers in designing shapes and things, but we haven't specified if those units were inches, feet, meters, millimeters, light years, atoms. It can really be any form of measurement. So what we're going to start doing is dealing in architectural units, and I'll show you what that's going to look like. So I'm just going to start by drawing a rectangle here. And when I go and dimension this, we've got 4 by 2. Now let's say this is 4 inches by 2 inches. For those of you that don't know, when designing things in our architectural format, designing houses and things, we'll specify feet and inches by putting little ticker marks. So one ticker mark, which would be the apostrophe on your keyboard, would mean feet, and then 2 ticker marks, which is the quotes, would be inches. So if this were 2 inches by 4 inches, it would have these little ticker marks. So the way we define that is we run our Dimstyle commands. You can type in Dimstyle, and the shortcut for Dimstyle is just D. It's used so often. You can just hit D and hit enter, and it brings up this window. And what we're going to do here is go down to this little gear, and we're going to go to modify. This is going to modify our class style. Our class style is what we've been using so far. So click modify. And then, believe it or not, all these tabs here do nothing but modify how our dimensions are displayed in CAD. So a lot of different tabs here, but for today, all we're going to focus on is our primary units. So far, we've been dealing with just straight decimal. We've had 0.0000. We're going to change this to architectural. And then already, as we look at our preview here, we can see that we now have little quotes. And then underneath that, we're going to set our precision. So before, our precision was based on how many zeros we'd have after our decimal point. In architectural, we're going to do things by fractions. So carpenters, when they build a house, they build things by fractions. So if you're a framer, maybe go to 1/4 of an inch. If you're cabinetry, maybe a 64th of an inch. So you want to set your precision appropriate for whatever it is you're designing. For this right here, I'm just going to do 128. So those are the only modifications that we're going to make today to our Dimstyle settings in the Primary Units tab. And now when I hit close, we can see now we have 2 inches by 4 inches. Now I'm going to draw another rectangle. And this one is going to be 12 inches by 6 inches. Now, when I go to dimension this, we've got our 6 inches right here. So zooming in, we see our 6 inches. And then along the top was our 12 inches. Oops. What did I do wrong here?
Wait, that's not 12 inches?
I didn't snap. Oh, here. I snapped this to the wrong part. There we go. Okay. So 12 inches, but I get this 1 with this apostrophe. What does that mean? 1 foot, exactly. So it's 12 inches to a foot. So now let's do something that's, I'm going to say, 28 inches by 12 inches. And then when I dimension this, it's automatically going to calculate 2 feet 4 inches. Now let's say I want to punch in something that's 2 feet. Our problem is our units here only gives us our decimal values still. So if I had something that was, say, 6.5 inches, I'd have to go 6.5. And if this was by 6 1/32 of an inch, I'd have to somehow calculate that in decimal form, which is horribly inconvenient. So what we need to do is we need to tell CAD that we're actually going to use our architectural notation as we're entering our commands and our dimensions manually. And the way we do that is by setting our units. So our 2 big commands today are Dimstyle and units. So just type in units, and this screen will come up. And this is sort of the foundational unit that you'll be using in CAD. So what you want to do is we're going to set our type here to architectural. And then typically we'll do the same precision as we did when setting up our Dimstyle. And everything else here you can keep as is. Okay, here. Now, when we go to punch in a dimension, when we look, we no longer see our decimal in our data entry boxes. We see feet and inches in fractions. So there's kind of a specific way we need to enter in these measurements for them to show up correctly. So the best way to learn is as you move your mouse around, you'll see how they're displayed there. So we can see it says 1 feet and then 23 over 32 inches as you move things around. So now if I want to do something and say 2 feet by 1 feet, I can just go 2, and I'm going to do a quote for feet, and then tab over, and I'll go 1 foot, and now dimensioning that. So we can see we have our 2 feet and 1 feet. But say we're doing smaller things. So say I want a rectangle that is a 1/2 inch by a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to go 1, and then we'll use our divide symbol, which is the / on either your keyboard or numeric pad. So I'll go 1 and then /2. So 1 our numerator, 2 our denominator. And then the default units is going to be inches in architectural, but I like to kind of make it a habit of always punching in my units just so students will quite often draw something that's supposed to be done in feet, and they've done the whole thing in inches and haven't even realized it. And of course their scale is going to be way off. So I always like to just make it a habit of punching in the proper quotes for whatever it is that I'm doing. So we've got 1/2, I'll tab over, and then do the same thing, 1/2, and then go in here, and we can see we've got our 1/2 by 1/2. Okay. Now, let's say we have something that's 1.5 inches. So let's say we go to draw that, and that's a little tricky because I type in my 1, and now if I do 1/2 or 1/8, it's going to think it's like 11 1/8 or something. So we have to somehow separate our sort of integer with our fraction. And we do that with our hyphen, which is also the minus sign. So again, you use that either on your keyboard or numeric pad. So I'm going to go 1, and I'm going to go 1 and say 1/8 inches by, I'll mix it up a little bit here, 1 and 5/16 inches. And now dimensioning that. So 1/8 by 1 and 5/16. So same thing if we have feet and inches. So say I have something that's 1 foot. So I'm going to go 1 foot. I'm going to separate with a hyphen here, and then 5 and 11, 16 inches. So my dimension. Try that again. So 1 foot, and then you actually don't need to put anything in between your feet and inches. One more time.